This is the final recap for your respiratory, digestive, and urinary system test. We are going to discuss the urinary system. Before we get into the content of the urinary system, make sure that you have done your kidney intro worksheet. Since we didn't dissect a kidney, this information is going to be covered on your test. What you really need to focus on from your kidney intro worksheet are the parts of the kidney and their functions, and those functions are continued with on this page. And then you're also going to need to be able to label a kidney. You won't have to label the whole thing what the structure will look or what the question will look like, is it'll give you a diagram. Each of the spots will be like, instead of saying renal cortex, it might say A, renal medulla would say B, and it's going to ask you what is structure A, and then give you the multiple choice options to pick from. So let's get into the content from the urinary system. The functions of the urinary system are to remove most of the waste produced by your cells. It helps regulate your blood volume and blood pressure. It regulates the plasma concentrations of sodium, potassium, and chloride ions. Remember, blood plasma is the fluid that surrounds your blood cells and carries your blood cells to your body, its tissues. It helps stabilize your pH in your blood. It helps conserve nutrients. It's also going to remove nitrogen waste like creatine, urea, and uric acid. It helps the liver detoxify. And during starvation, it can also help in the deamination of amino acids, so other tissues can use those amino acids to metabolize to get some energy out of them. So then we went into the parts of the urinary system. Your urinary system, you have two kidneys, which make urine. You have two ureters, which are tubes that are going to take urine from your kidneys to your bladder. You have the urinary bladder, which is going to store urine. And you have urethra, which is the tube that moves urine out of the body. The process of urination, or the scientific term for it, is micturition. It's just when you're getting rid of your urine. And then each kidney also is going to have a subadrenal, it's a adrenal gland above it. And here's a diagram showing you where your kidneys are, your ureters, leading into your bladder and your urethra. So we already talked about the anatomy of the kidney, each part of the kidney and its function. But what we're going to focus in on is a nephron. So the basic unit of a kidney is called a nephron, and the nephron is where filtration is going to actually be happening. And nephrons are going to extend in from the renal cortex, so this outer, like light pink layer of your kidney, into the renal pyramids, which are found inside that renal medulla. The kidney is also very vascularized. It has a lot of arteries and veins going in and out because its job is to filter your blood and to remove waste and put back into your body what we need, like ions and water. There's also a lot of fat tissue within the kidneys. So the anatomy of the nephron, the nephron's a pretty complex structure, very tube-like and twisty. You're not going to have to label a nephron, but what you will have to do with this anatomy is I would be familiar with what each part of that nephron does, so the physiology of the nephron. So when we're looking at a nephron, where blood is going to enter is at the renal corpuscle, and that is what's going to produce the filtrate, what is actually going to be filtered through this nephron. Then that filtrate is going to travel to the proximal convoluted tubule, which is right here. What's going to happen there is it's going to reabsorb water and ions and salt into our body. Then the filtrate is going to go down the nephron loop, and there's an ascending loop and a descending loop. Descending comes first, followed by ascending. The descending is going to help in the reabsorption of water, and the ascending helps reabsorb ions like calcium and chloride. Then that filtrate is going to go up to the distal convoluted tubule, where there it's going to secrete ions, drugs, toxins, and some reabsorption happens. Then it's finally going to get to the collecting duct. In the collecting duct, there's going to be some reabsorption of water and some reabsorption of ions. And then finally, what we're left with is our urine. And so your papillary duct, its job is to take it to the minor calyx. The minor calyx is going to take it to the major calyx, which takes it to the renal pelvis, which is going to lead it into the ureter so it can go to the bladder. Due to lack of time, we are not going to go into really the physiology of how we produce urine, and more physiology behind your renal system. If you want to, you can read chapter 27 to find out more. And then we quickly discuss different pathologies or disorders of the urinary system. So that is the final recap for this test. You get 1 page front and back for your test. Let me know if you have any questions, and happy studying.